KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Education, Kwazi Mshengu, has tabled the department's 57 billion rand budget. About 90% of that budget, we're told, will be compensation for employees. The budget comes after the devastating floods affected about 630 schools in the province, with 101 of them still inaccessible. So let's unpack this further. We're joined by the head of education, the head of the HOD, in the education department in KZN, Nkosinathi Ngcobo. Nkosinathi, it's great to have you with us on the program this morning. I mean, it's difficult to come to terms with this figure. 90% of that budget that's been tabled, 57 billion rand, going towards paying employees. How do you tend to all of the other challenges in your department in the province? Good morning.
Good morning, and to the viewers as well. Yeah, it's a difficult challenge to navigate, Michelle. We are a labor-intensive department. We've got 90,000 educators. We've got about 17,000 public service act staff. And combined, it's true that combined they take up to 90% of our budget, which leaves very little, for us to do other things. And it actually forces us to defer some of the programs that we may have wanted to go ahead with, at a maybe faster scale than we end up doing. But we are soldiering on, with what we have, trying to do the best that we can.
So according to Kwazi Mshengu's budget, there is, according to him, an insufficient number of educators, a number of posts that actually couldn't be filled, and as a result, some subjects were taught for only a limited amount of time, because obviously you don't have those educators in the posts that need to be filled. How does that work? I'm just finding it very difficult to understand how we make up for the losses due to COVID-19 in education around the country, but we're dealing with these kinds of basic issues.
Yeah, Michelle, what happened in the last financial year and in other financial years as well is that there was a huge budget cut of about 6 billion, which rendered us unable to fill some of the posts, to fill the organogram to the full, particularly on the admin side. But on the teacher's side, we tried our best to fill posts at least, of critical subjects where really we had to ensure that there is a teacher in the classroom. With this year's budget, we are trying our best again to actually, ensure that all the critical posts in schools are filled.
Yeah.
But that is at the expense of other posts that are vacant on the administration side, which is problematic in the sense that you then have fewer employees to service the teachers you have, because we are channeling most of our budget towards ensuring that there's a teacher in the classroom at the expense of the administration side. That does affect us. It affects the speed at which we are able to process pensions. It affects the speed at which we are able to make appointments, in the system for the very educators that were put in class. But we are moving on, as you would have seen in the budget speech, in terms of trying to automate our systems so that with less number of employees, particularly on the administration side, we should still maintain an acceptable level of efficiency, with the automated systems that we're introducing.
So a marginal increase in the matric pass rate in your province, Nkosinathi, 0.8%. What do those matric passes look like? How fit for purpose are they? Are we seeing an increase in exemption passes? And then a sort of a related question I want to ask you, because I've got a few things I want to get through with you and we don't have a lot of time. The commitment in last year's budget to focus on those gateway subjects, maths, physical science, and other technical subjects. How far is that commitment?
The commitment is, we're doing well in terms of that commitment. In 2021, we had made a commitment that we would improve on these gateway subjects, maths particularly, and physical science. And we did have a 3% improvement on physical science and a 1.8% improvement on mathematics, which is, which is something we want to maintain, that upward trajectory. Even in this year's budget speech, we have made that commitment that we want to do well there. And that was achieved in 2021 when, a lot of the learning time had been lost by these learners when they were in grade 11 in 2020. So they had learning gaps that we had to deal with. Those gaps, you wouldn't say have now been filled because the COVID pandemic is still with us, and it was with us in 2021. So it means our grade 11s really come with some content gaps in their knowledge. And we have an academic improvement strategy targeted particularly at the gateway subjects, but also targeting all other subjects and all other grades so that we improve our matric pass rates, this year and the years and the coming years.
Okay.
In spite of all the challenges, I think we still are committed to ensuring that we keep improving.
I want to talk to you about the issue of pit latrines, and it's a difficult question to still be asking in 2022, isn't it? 1,377 schools in KZN that still have pit latrines. The commitment by your department is to eradicate all pit latrines in KZN by the end of 2022. Is that feasible?
It is feasible, and it is going to happen. In fact, we are saying you can call us this time next year, and we will be really, we will be saying that we have eradicated the pit latrines. The reason why we're confident in saying that is that we've gone a long way towards fulfilling that promise. The figure doesn't stand at 1,377 anymore. Just over 800, we are on site already, trying to eradicate them. In fact, the processes for all 1,367 are at various stage of completion. And that is why we're saying we're very confident that we'll deal with this problem.
I'm diarising it, Nkosinathi, to call you at the end of the year to talk about pit latrines. Before we go, recovery from the floods insofar as the schools that have been impacted over the past month, how is that going?
I think what I can say is that when this flood hit us, you would have interviewed us and the MEC, and there were 102 schools, for example, that were totally inaccessible. Because by road you couldn't get there because there were bridges that had collapsed, and the alternate routes were also not in a good condition. But today there is only one school that is still inaccessible, and it's somewhere here in Marianne Hill. We've made plans for those learners, so they are in. We've distributed them in neighboring schools, while the access routes is being repaired, going to that school. So that has really brought us some relief, so that we can immediately implement our recovery plan, which we have devised, to target those individual schools that have been badly affected. We quantified them in terms of numbers, number of schools, in terms of number of learners affected. We quantified them up to the detail of the number of lessons lost, the topics in those lessons that were lost during those days, because we knew on each of the days we lost which topics would have been covered in terms of our curriculum. So we as and when schools, returned to normality, at various stages, I'm talking about these 102 schools, our teachers and our subject advisors have been, implementing the recovery plan that we had. We are confident that unless there is another devastating, natural disaster, we should be able to make up for the time lost. We've already planned, winter schools. The winter schools were planned anyway, but we will infuse for those learners the recovery, plan. The implementation of that recovery plan for those learners that were affected, who we know individually as school, and we even know which subjects and which topics they actually lost out on during that time.
Certainly. Nkosinathi, let me thank you for your time this morning. HOD in the Department of Education in KZN, Nkosinathi Ngcobo, giving us an update there on the budget that's been tabled by the KZN MEC for education.